What's up, college football fans? And we've here once again with the Mean Green Show. Today, joined by Javi Cardenas, UTSA insider. We're going to jump into the preview of this UTSA Texas State game. But before we get into all that, guys, you already know the drill. If you're a fan of college football, considering that like and subscribe button. Javi, I appreciate you jumping on. Where can everybody find your work and coverage for UTSA?
Yeah, so you guys can find us over at UTSA Rivals. You can find me at Rivals Hobby, and then anything site related will be at UTSA Rivals on pretty much everything: Twitter, X, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Awesome. So, what are your initial takeaways from the UTSA Kennesaw State game?
A little bit of a surprise. I think that line was a little big. It was, I believe, 24 and a half when it closed right before kickoff. It was a little high. It did not go as expected. At least the second half of the game wasn't. First quarter was great, right? Everything was humming along. The offense was performing probably a little better than what most people thought. As the game got going, though, especially in the second half, things really dropped off. I think once you look at the game and watch it, you can kind of see, you can kind of pinpoint where that when things started falling apart. But at the end of the day, is a win. It wasn't by 24 and a half, but it was still a double-digit win against an FCS opponent. So it's still positive, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I forget that the Kennesaw State they've made the move up to
Yeah.
FBS. This is their first year, I think, and all these other FCS schools, they played a lot of schools tight this past weekend in week one. So it was an interesting week one in college football altogether. But what are your thoughts on Owen McCown's performance?
It was never going to be easy to taking over for Frank Harris, but I think he did a great job. The completion percentage was there. He didn't turn the ball over. He threw for threw for three touchdowns, ran in for one. I don't think you can really ask much more about UTSA quarterback, right? Especially a team that wants to run the ball, and we can get into that a little bit further on. But I think as for Owen, he did great. I mean, he was handed the starting quarterback job by Jeff Traylor, and he ran with it. I think you fans should be pretty encouraged with what they saw. He doesn't need to be Frank Harris, but if he can be close to it, or Frank Harris light, I think UTSA is going to be in a good spot moving forward.
Who are some other offensive players that you're expecting a big game from for this Texas State game?
It has to be the running backs. I think that's one of the areas where UTSA offense really faltered this week. Was in the running game. I think they returned through really good running backs. They really need to get the ball going here against Texas State. I don't think Owen will be able to carry the load like he did against Texas State. Texas State's a vastly superior team. They're going to need to go back to their averages, right? They're used to at least one of them approaching 100 yards, and they didn't even get nowhere close. I think the leading rusher was 40 yards, I believe. So it's got to be better, and it's not only them; it's the offensive line. I think they really need to improve this week, and I think Jeff Traylor pointed at that today. And availability was, the offensive line just did not perform well, and I think they really need to straighten that out if they want to get a win this weekend.
What's your biggest concern for UTSA going into this game?
I kind of touched on it, is that offensive line. You know, they returned quote unquote a lot of starts. There is three new starters on there, but it's three new transfers essentially, right? So, you can chalk it down to maybe it's their first start as a unit. So there's a lot of cohesiveness that needs to happen for that unit to perform at the level. But it's really the offensive line. They allowed 5 sacks. The running game wasn't there. So it's really that unit that really needs to come together this week. And, hopefully it's a week one thing, right? Usually week one, it's always a little rougher for some teams. And for the offensive line, it was just not great. So they really need to strain that out. If they don't, then it might be kind of a rough afternoon in San Marcos.
Do you anticipate them trying to get Oscar Cardenas, UTSA tight end, involved more in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw flashes. He had a couple receptions and I believe a touchdown as well. But you can definitely see that he's slimmed down, that he's a little bit faster, a little bit more of your prototypical tight end, and I can see definitely them getting him more involved as the season progresses. But also, UTSA has two other young tight ends that are pretty good. So yes, is also going to get involved. Definitely so. I think as the year progresses, you'll see those receptions and yards and touchdowns tick up, but also the young guys. We saw UTSA with a lot of 12 personnel looks. which was pretty interesting, right? You usually you saw a couple, but I think now that UTSA has a good stable of tight ends, you're going to see a lot more of that.
There was a play by some, I think it was if I miss if I can't remember the name correctly, please correct me, but was it Tomahawk? It was like a jet sweep. I think it got called back.
Oh
The
yes, it was a jet sweep by a running back, and they called holding on Oscar Cardenas actually. But yeah, it was a true freshman running back, Will Henderson from out of Gilmer of all places. Yeah, there was that was definitely one of the unfortunate plays of the night. If UTSA scores that touchdown, I don't think it's even close because I think at the time it was 21-6 or 28. I couldn't remember the score, but if they would have got that touchdown, I think Kennesaw would have recovered from that.
So he's a true freshman?
Yes, he's a
What
true freshman running back.
what's his name again?
Will Henderson.
Will Henderson?
Hmm.
Do you think he's gonna be, I mean, he just seemed like he had, some explosiveness once he touched the ball. Do you feel like he's going to be worked in more? Do you think he's gonna redshirt? What are your thoughts on him?
I mean, I think it's going to be tougher on the red shirt, especially after seeing that speed. I don't think UTSA has that speed at running back. With the three guys that they have right now, they're a little bit more of Robert Henry's probably the fastest guy, maybe. They're a little bit more of the north south type of guys, with a couple of them having some of that lateral speed. But Will Henderson is going to be that next level guy. His story is a little interesting. He wasn't originally committed or signed right out of signing day. I believe there was some stuff going on, and he joined the team in the summer. So he's just recently joined the team. But yeah, he's definitely next level, and I think you can see in that play that nobody was even close to him after he got some speed off the end.
Biggest strengths defensively for UTSA?
Has to be the defensive line still. They rotated a bunch this game. I think they went to two. Actually, they went pretty deep. They went like three deep in some spots. A defensive line, defensive tackle with Brandon Brown, Joe Evans, Ronald Triplet, Osiris Simon. They're just really deep there. I believe, if I remember correctly, they held Kennesaw to 3.8 yards to carry. And for an option, quote unquote, option team, that's pretty good. Um, Jamari Robinson, outside linebacker, essentially a defensive end, I guess. If you could, if it's a 4-3 system, he would be like the edge rusher. Um, he's another one that had a pretty good game. He had his first sack of the season. He's the one that's going to replace Trey Moore. So yeah, they definitely expect a big season out of him.
So Texas State coming off of a narrow win over Lamar, an FCS school. What do you anticipate their offensive as well as defensive game plan will be against the Roadrunners?
On defense, it's going to have to probably have Owen McCown beat you. I think that's a little bit what Kennesaw did. After looking back at it, they really shut the running game down. It was a considered effort by Kennesaw to shut that down. And for UTSA, Owen had the ability to make those throws and win that game for them. But if I'm Texas State on defense, I'd do the exact same thing: shut down the running game, see if Owen can beat you again with his arm, with his legs. And it's really unfortunately, it's going to be up to Owen, right, to see if he can carry TSA this weekend.
How about offensively? How do you think the Bobcats are going to come out?
You know, Texas State historically, during the Kenny era, is really fast on offense. I think you're going to continue to see that. They know that the UTSA likes to rotate guys in and out on defense, and if they can prevent that, I think that's what they're going to try to do. They're trying to go fast. They're going to try to score quickly. If they can limit UTSA's strength in the defensive line and linebacker by not letting them rotate, then I think that's the way they're going to go. They're going to go fast. They're going to try to score quickly, and make this a shootout. Right? If the UTSA defense can counter that by getting them on 3 and outs and stuff like that, and getting the ball back on offense, then it might be a pretty long day for Texas State.
Did you happen to catch any of the Texas State Lamar game?
I did actually. I caught the fourth quarter when it got a little interesting there at the end.
Okay, so there was a point, I think it was 2 drives, they subbed McLeod for Martinez, I think is the
Yeah.
other quarterback. Do you
Mhm.
think we'll see both QBs from the Bobcats this Saturday, or will it just be McLeod only, if you had to guess?
I don't think they will. I think that was Kenny getting a little too, cute a little bit. I don't think you're going to see that. I think they wanted to rotate and maybe not show their hand a little bit. It wouldn't make sense for them to try to play two quarterbacks, especially when the transfer you brought in is right one of the best transfers, QB transfers of the season, right? So yeah, no, I don't anticipate bringing in two quarterbacks this game.
What do you think McLeod would rank amongst the AAC quarterbacks in the conference? He was a Sun Belt, what was it, Offensive Player of the Year last year, I
Player of the
believe,
year.
something like that. So where do you think he ranks amongst, the American Conference QBs?
Oh man, that's I would think top five at least. I mean, you could argue top three, right? Because it would be Hennigan, uh, more. I mean, after seeing Chandler Morris, right? You got to put him up in the top three as well, top two maybe. Um, I would put him probably third or fourth right now if I had to guess.
Yeah, he's good. So anyway, Texas State, they open up as 3-point favorites. I saw you tweeted that out earlier. I believe it was today of filming this. And man, initially, I'm not much of a gambler, but a little bit. $10 a game is my max. But I saw that the spread at Texas State favored by 3, and really tempted to put UTSA to cover that. But since I guess digging a little deeper, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a coin flip. But what are your thoughts on the spread there?
I think it's fair. I mean, it's at home, right, for Texas State. So it's two teams that had a pretty good offseason. UTSA had a lot of turnover, but I think the books, for some reason, always know, right? Um, UTSA brought enough back for them to be confident in their ability to possibly win. I think it's a pick 'em. I think I saw it's 1.5 right now. If the last time I looked, it's probably going to be even. But by the time they kick off, right? So I think UTSA can cover that if it were to three. If we stick at three, but honestly, if Texas State can win this year, man, when are they going to win, right? I mean, they have a really good quarterback, a really good offense, a pretty good a good coach, a somewhat good defense. I think that's still their weakness is on the defensive side. If UTSA can exploit that defense and control the ball and limit the damage that the offense can do, I think they can cover that pretty easily. With these types of teams, you kind of saw it against Lamar, right? It's going really well 1 second, and then a couple 3 and outs go really, really fast, and it kind of snowballs on them pretty quick. I think you saw a lot of that last year as well with them, where some games got away from them really, really quick. It could be the case again, right? So if UTSA can control the ball, if they can get 3 and outs on that quick offense, then they have a pretty good chance. I think it's a fair line. Texas State got a lot of good press this offseason. I mean, it's all warranted, right? They added a lot of good pieces. It's a team that's going to be really good. That's probably going to contend for a championship in the Sun Belt, but also UTSA brought in quite a bit, and in some areas they're quite a bit better. So it can go either way. If I had to say right now, I probably if minus 3.5, I think you're probably pretty safe going with UTSA.
You have a score prediction for the game?
Oh man, let's see. It would be my first one. I haven't even formulated, but I mean, if gun to my head, give me a really close one, man. Like we're talking like last possession type of thing. It reminds me a lot of the I don't know if you remember the game UTSA had against Western Kentucky, where they were I think with the Bailey Zappi where they were driving. Like at the very end of the game, and the UTSA just intercepted it right there, like at the 5 yard line. I think it's going to be something like that, something like 41-37, right? So it's something in the high 30s, low 40s, and I think 41-37 is where I'm going to go with this week.
And
UTSA.
there's definitely been some thrillers in the dome between UAB, Western Kentucky, North Texas, and UTSA always that season managing to come out on top. But yeah, those were
And
some
if you remember,
thrillers.
correctly, the last time that UTSA and Texas A played, that game went to overtime,
Yeah.
and it only went to overtime because the Texas State kicker missed the extra point. And yeah, it was those games are. It's kind of like North Texas. Honestly, there's always something happening in those games. You can never really predict what's going to happen.
Javi, I appreciate your time and looking forward to the game this Saturday.
All right, appreciate you, man.